joined by Palcatina here with a very exciting pod. We have seat 1, Francisco Jessica. I'm not gonna, I don't want bias casting here. I do want to point out the Josh in seat 1 is my podcast co-host, Punt Pals. We talk about, statistically on average, you're going to win 25% of your Commander games. Our podcast is for the 75% of players who don't win their Commander games. It looks like they're randomizing now or getting pod composition set. But Josh is with a Francisco Jessica build. This was a deck when Francisco came out. We were very excited to brew, and we have 3 Timna Croms in the other seat. So Josh here, who I'm pulling for against being the only non-blue deck in the pod. I'm gonna run this pod comp in a very special data set that I have from Datatog to see if this pod has ever existed before. I have the keys to a very fancy resource for Magic or for Commander data, for Commander Tower, Command Tower events. It calculates all the data from every game that's been tracked on Command Tower. So we're gonna have live data as we play this.
So I just want to mention real quick why people are running Francisco with the in cEDH. The main combo line that you have with Francisco is the Walking Ballista Agatha's Soul Quadrant combo. So what you can do with Agatha's Soul Quadrant is that you can put Walking Ballista in the graveyard, and then when you activate it and you have Francisco out, you can then remove that counter. And since Francisco says deals damage, it explores, so you can reveal a top card, and if it's a land or the land goes into your hand, or if it's a non-land, you can choose to put it into the graveyard and it gets another counter. You can get to pretty much infinitely damage out your opponents, or most oftentimes you get to pretty much fill up your graveyard to the max. That's the main combo that you have with Francisco and Walking Ballista.
So something I want to point out right now with Francisco Jessica, this deck I don't think has ever been registered in a Command Tower tournament. This might be the first time. Again, we're seeing this on Combat Set, which is super cool. I'm going to take a second to tweet this right now. But I'm fairly certain, based on this, I'm looking at EDH Top 16 right now, looking at this data set that I have as well. This might be the first time we've seen this deck registered, which is incredibly cool to see. And we're seeing it live. We're buckled in for the ride. I know typically the Rakdos partner pairings I've seen before is Tavesh Rog. This deck's obviously going to be doing different things. I am stoked right now. I have to get the hype tweet out for this. This is awesome to see. So looks like we're still resolving mulligans here. I don't even know what I don't know what Josh's looking for. He's already playing kind of with the training weights on a bit. I know he knows what he's doing here, but this is a tough pod. 3 TNKs is a tough pod configuration.
Jessica is always one of those solid commanders that you can always run in a cEDH game, because all you really need is just infinite mana, Dockside Cloudstone, Curio Loop, and you got it pretty much. So you can just pretty much infinitely shoot people with Jessica. There's pretty much, people are always looking for infinite mana outlets in the command zone. Jessica is the one for you. You could do Jessica, you could also ROM as well for a little bit more grinder game, but something is telling me this is probably just a turbo list that does have some mid-range elements.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, knowing Josh, I think this is going to be a weird-ass turbo deck. I'm really excited. I really am excited to see this deck in action. We've been talking about Francisco quite a bit. Also, Green Knight 08 saying Blue Farm, baby. I don't know what Blue Farm is. I know what Timna Crom is. No clue what Blue Farm is. I've won tournaments on Timna Crom. I've never won with Blue Farm. Just going on record.
Hey.
We are still resolving mulligans here. Love seeing that Silicon Dynasty 2 mat from Player One there. Player One has that was a formerly Eminence, now TopDeck.gg playmat in California. That's where I'm at right now. Cool to see that playmat in the wild. Bubbled out of top 16 on Dihada at that event. Not a big deal. I think I was 2-2-2. So, basically bringing the power to the table at 2-2-2. I think Cephras was in top 4 at that event too. Very, very cool Esper Reanimator deck. All right, we are in the mulligan decision phase still. Gonna get a little screenshot of Josh here. Again, I don't want to be biased. I want to see a good game. Soft spot for my podcast co-host here. Yeah, I want to echo this while we see this Mana Crypt getting into play. This is a tournament, and we're starting with a Ristic Study. Very strong start. This is for the Trevor Project, an extremely worthy cause. It helps a lot of disenfranchised member of our community, LGBTQ members. It's a very worthy charity. Please, thank you for tuning in. Just tuning in helps this channel a bunch, helps us, assist charities in the future. Every single tournament coming up is for a charity. And then, extremely happy to be a part of this. To support these charities. The Trevor Project is an extremely, extremely worthy cause. There's a lot of good work for the members of our community who need it most. So thanks, Jace, for doing this. This is awesome. It's really cool to be a part of this charity tournament as well. And I think you have a link to donate to the Trevor Project as well. So extremely, extremely cool to see. Absolutely love it. So we have a Chromox imprinting a Mindbreak Trap, it looked like. Paying for it, Command Tower. Josh intently looking at his hand. Probably is not happy about that Ristic Study. You're in Rakdos, buddy. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, you got no choice. That's a... What in the world is that a...
That is a... Oh, gosh. That's a new Ixalan card. What is that? Souls of the Damned? Souls of the Lost. Souls of the Lost, I believe. Let me see here. That, I believe, is a Souls of the Lost. It is a one... It's basically a mono black Tarmogoyf. If I'm not mistaken. Discard a card. Oh, it's from Battle Bond. Oh, I'm way off. Oh, I'm making stuff up now. If anyone knows that card, I'll give you a thumbs up. All right. If anyone knows, please tell us. I'm having to already Google cards today, and such a treat to learn new cards. Pretty sure it's a Colossal Dreadmount. Yeah, you right. My bad. I saw Ken Bauman has a deck where it's the blue legendary creature with horsemanship. And the only other creatures in the deck are Phantasmal Dreadmoss.
It's on Quan, Lord of Wu, or something like that.
Yeah. All right. So we have a Mystic Remora, seat 4. Seat 1 dropping a Marsh Flats. Curious what the thought process is right now. They can't cast Tymna with the mana they have available to them.
Oh.
Judge, they cannot cast. I'm going to let them know they cannot cast Tymna. But yeah, so that was an illegal casting of Tymna, just in terms of the content aspect of it. But a Volcanic Island, Tymna needs a black and a white. Volcanic Island does not produce either of those, and Marsh Flats Scrubland only produces one of those. Looks like we are going to Josh's turn, and I do want to shout out more online tournaments need to do this. This is the first time I've seen this. I have the stream up. I have our Discord watching this as well. Having this round timer is like super cool. I can't get over it. Can someone please tell me? Okay, it looks like they're trying to reset it by putting the Crom up. Can someone please tell me what card that is under Josh's Yeah, the one that's in Josh's hand right now, I do not know what card that is. If someone can do it, I will PayPal you 50 cents. Right here, right now, cash money on the table, 50 cents, 2 George Washington coins in your pocket. What card is that? Please help me.
The card is an excellent one called Greedy Freebooter. When it dies, scry one and get a treasure token. A 1/1 human pirate.
Okay. Greedy Freebooter. I like that. Okay. That was my nickname in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a cool card. So yeah, it is a. Let me read what that random. It's a 1/1 for 1 black mana. When it dies, you scry 1 and create a treasure token. It is a notably, as Judge said, a human pirate. So I think we're leaning into the silly little the silly I don't want to say silly. I'm gonna say silly because I know Josh. Let me preface, I know Josh. We're very good friends. We have a podcast together. We're playing into the silly pirate theme here with Jessica, Francisco, Dirty Bird. Actually, wait, it's not Dirty. Dirty Bird is Ishai. This is this is Angry Birds. We're playing Angry Birds. Paid for fish pass. We are back to seat 1. We're in turn 3 of the rotation here. Dothy Voidwalker, I think, is sneaky good here. You just played a card that goes, okay, my 3 opponents, you can't breach.
Yeah.
It also forces your opponents into a weird position too. Because if you can try to get your win attempt without the breach, that Dothy you want to keep around. You don't want to you don't want to remove it and then not have a backup or have your backup get stopped, and then you've just handed the ability to breach to another opponent. By having that Dothy, you almost have an insurance of, okay, I don't have to answer someone's breach attempt. I don't have to answer some graveyard shenanigans or a Savine's wreck. The other notable thing too, I know this card has fallen a little bit out of favor, but Gilded Drake, you could theoretically find the Gilded Drake and get the Dothy. That would allow you to shut down any graveyard interactions while also having Tymna attacker. Have the Tymna attacker while also policing graveyards. So looks like we're having a Tymna. Notably, Dothy Voidwalker can't block the Tymna, but it also can attack through the Tymna. I'm not too worried if I'm Josh, though. I don't think I'm the target of this Tymna attacks here. I think these T and K wet agriculture decks are just going to cannibalize each other, and Francisco is going to be able to fall into the radar a little bit. If I'm sitting at the table and I'm one of these 3 blue wet agriculture decks, I'm not incredibly worried about Francisco. And I don't mean that as an insult to Josh as a player. I just mean the deck does not look threatening, and it does not do anything until it does. And it's one of those weird decks, almost like Tameshi in a way, where I look at it, I go, yeah, I'm not reading this, I'm happy for you, but then I lose to it.
Yeah, for sure. I do agree with that. It's always, whenever you like to play cEDH, you always like to see some with those real life dual lands have all duals on their land with those 4-color decks. We got a Tymna from your faction paying the Ristic tax. For once, this is a real legal Tymna cast.
Yeah, and if I can highlight Josh as a player and as a deck brewer, having seen him in the community for a long time now, Josh is a player that likes to take cards that, like, no one's going to mental misstep your Kite Sail Gorger. So you get to get away with things. You get to get away with things that you normally wouldn't have. Just like you said, Jace, you're playing cards that aren't going to be used. No one's going to be countering your stuff until you're putting a win on the stack. And hopefully by the time Josh is putting a win on the stack, at least hopefully for Josh, you're going to be totally fine. So it looks like we just have everyone's on the Tymna party. People love drawing cards. We're Tymna passing, Tymna passing, Tymna passing. I think this is my issue with Tymna Crom as a deck. It is we're in mid-range hell. People are just going to be drawing cards. That's what the deck can intrinsically do well. But playing cards to just draw more cards does not really result in you winning. It doesn't further a game state other than you have more options when you do want to play cards. And I think like by Josh's deck is different in the way where his board development is working towards the win con, whereas his opponents are drawing more cards, possibly more answers. They're not working towards the win con.
Yeah, that is true because there is a flyer, there's a Tymna, everyone, when it comes to Tymnas, you want to block the attackers. Would be interesting to know how many Tymna Crom decks are there in the tournament.
It's not something I have access. I don't know if Jace can pull up that data here, but I know we have seen at least 5 so far.
Yeah.
Team K, I think, has a low barrier to entry with a high ceiling. I think you can navigate that deck in a multitude of ways, but at its surface, the deck goes draw a lot of cards. It does what cEDH wants to do, which is play cards, put stuff on the battlefield, draw cards.
It's not, slightly disagree with you by saying that it's not the it's like you can't just, I would say I wouldn't give a Tymna Crom deck to a player that is very new to cEDH, like if they are just getting their first game, but like someone that knows some of the basic concepts, Tymna Crom can be a very good starter deck too, for them to like refine over the many years.
Yeah, I think it's easy to learn, hard to master, and I think it's similar to Kinnan in that way. I think the people who do well with Tymna Crom are at the ceiling of what that deck can do. But I think generally speaking, if someone's like, "Hey, I want to play the most cEDH deck," I'm going to hand them like probably Tymna Crom. You do the dockside thing, you do the breach lines, you draw a lot of cards. It's everything that cEDH wants to do. Kind of an interesting dilemma with a Forbidden Orchard and all Tymna Crom pod. Josh is pretty much guaranteed to get these spirits for the rest of the game. The one thing I don't want to sleep in, and Jace, I don't know if you can pull up the deck list. I'd be curious to know if Josh's list has any Diabolic Intent effects or any Phyrexian Tower effects. Something that would allow him to utilize those spirits, not as an attacker, but as a resource. Yeah. Let me take a look here in our chat. Very curious to see this list. I think I asked him for it, and then I forgot to look at it. All right, so we are thinking as Tymna Crom. Looks like we deployed our Crom, swung in, back in the thinking phase. And you have the flyer, which can help if no one has the Crom out yet. In terms of things that we can sack to with those spirits, we have a Culling the Weak, we have a Diabolic Intent, we have a Phyrexian Tower, we have a Springleaf Drum, which is good to use those spirits for. If he gets enough, I mean, Bolas's Citadel could be relevant with a sack activation. It's pretty solid to be in a position where someone's going to be feeding you 1/1s and you have a way to capitalize on using those 1/1s without really being detrimental to your game plan. Hey, he's keeping it on top. I think if I'm in Josh's position and I just show an Underworld Breach, I'm fanning out my graveyard. I'm going, look, you guys, there's 3 Tymnas, 2 Croms. I'm not the threat. I think if I would be explaining that it's not as scary as it might seem. I'm also kind of politicking for my life right now to not get swung in at. It looks like people are swinging at Josh and not each other as much as I would really anticipate. But yeah, or he's looking for a way to crack that pile and just try going for it. But Josh is a smart, methodical player. I don't think he's going to do something as flippant as play into the board state as it stands right now. Wonder if it's just the Nas. All ritual. I think there's a pun somewhere with Francisco Caw Ball. Cacao ball ritual. With a colorless floating as well. I think he has threshold. It does it? I can't tell. Yeah, he has the Dothy up as well. So I'm okay. Hear me out. I think he has a reanimate in hand. There's a Wheel of Fortune in exile. He could be grabbing a Bowmasters, activate it, cast the Bowmasters, or reanimate the Bowmasters, activate Dothy for the wheel, and clear the board. I like there's a slight mini game too, kind of an underlying mini game that Josh is doing to have the buy-in of the table right now. We have a World Torture Dragon. Okay. Okay, I wasn't expecting a World Torture Dragon. Okay, I'm excited. Buckle in. Notably a non-creature combo. It's been 84 years, Jace. Oh my god. This is too good. I'm buckled in. I'm dialed. I'm along for this World Torture Dragon line. Let's go. Let's see this happen. Oh, we still have the wheel available to us. Any sort of like animate dead on the World Gorger Dragon, that will be a loop that can kill the table with Bowmasters. But I wanted to add, Josh revealed that Underworld Breach and has shuffled it away now. So he's kind of showing the table that he doesn't need it, but he might just win here. If there's any sort of 1 mana, or if he has a Simian Spirit Guide into an Animate Dead in hand, he might be able to just clear the table, kill the table with his Bowmasters. Does not appear to be the case. Dothy still goes around timing restrictions, correct? Yeah, I love seeing this tried and true World Gorger combo. You have the outlet with the Orcish Bowmasters. I'm pretty hyped about this. I don't care if it was Josh. I don't care what player is sitting in that seat and has a World Gorger Dragon combo potentially online. I am vibing right now. Curious what the think is. You're swinging in. You probably have to attack Putrefaction. Sorry, you probably have to attack seat 2. They're tapped out. Shield's completely down. You have a free attack there. If you attack Josh, you're just going to get blocked by the Orcish Bowmasters. And the other thing to consider too is if you do draw off the Tymna, the Orcish Bowmasters will ping. But seat 1 TNK has 12 cards in hand. Something to note, no one has good Tymna attacks now with that Orcish Bowmasters. If they draw 2 cards, their Tymna is going to die. Granted, you'll get a 2-card draw, but you're going to have to redeploy your Tymna. The Tymna attacks are not great, to say the least. I'm wondering if he has a tutor?
Yeah.
Possibly like a Vamp tutor. So notably, well, probably I'm going to assume an Esper Sentinel is going to get from the Stockwell. Something of note to consider is if that Ranger Captain is, say it gets to Josh's turn, Josh casts Animate Dead targeting the World Gorger, and that Ranger Captain is cracked, that will protect Josh's combo because that will not cast spells for the World Gorger loop, and it will wipe the table. I love that pass priority token from from Josh as well, pointing to it every time the spell is cast.
I love it as well. Okay, so the Ranger Captain resolves. We go. It's Sturdy's turn again. 1 is Crypt Flip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do want to say, if you like those tokens, Josh and I are sponsored by the people who make those. Funny enough, All Trades Media. It's in my link tree as well. So if you are interested in picking those up, Top Deck also uses the tokens packs at our TopDeck.gg tournaments. They have every token for every relevant commander produced token in the format. We also use something I like a lot for in-person tournaments is an active player token, so you can pass it around to easily look on a camera to see who the active player is. A lot of cool stuff. but looks like there was an end step or a main phase. Verdant Catacombs. We are in seat 1's turn. I think this is turn 5. Yeah, we're in the 5th turn rotation, if my memory is serving me correctly here. And I'm going to applaud again, Jace. I think it's so cool you listen to the watcher or the viewers and implement something on the fly. I keep looking. I have this on the computer and I'm watching on the TV as well. The computer one's a little bit more up to timing. Having that round timer is so cool. I'm like actively using it. It's a relevant thing, and that's something I want to encourage more players to do. As you know, we're moving to attacks with Timna Crom here. I don't know if they forgot about that Bowmasters, but something I want to point out is clock management. If you are in a tournament with any sort of competitive stakes, and this is a competitive tournament that we're watching, there is prize support, and with his judges, this is a level of REL. You want to be managing your clock effectively. We haven't run into that yet where that's been a problem, but being mindful of time in the round and looking and going, okay, 40 minutes, we're good. It's really when you get in that 10-minute range and you still have a chance to go for the win that you want to be mindful of. But it looks like we swung in with Timna. Both drew 2 cards. Timna just got wiped off the face of the earth from that Orcish Bowmasters. I'm not sure if that was forgotten about or if that was by design. I'd be curious to know. But it looks like we are casting our spells here. We have a Toxic Deluge.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, you can kind of see in Josh's face, not too jazzed about that play. Looks like in response, the seat 4 Stockwell has cracked their Ranger Captain of Eos to prevent any further game actions. And Josh activating the Dothy Voidwalker as well. You really have nothing too good there, Josh. I think X equals 4 to kill the Croms as well. I think Josh is using Swords to Plowshares on his own orc army to regain some of the life he's lost.
Oh, that's actually an interesting play, yeah.
Notably, it does put the Swords to Plowshares back in the yard, but if that's relevant later, this will be the key moment to harken back. Save this timestamp if that Swords to Plowshares is used again. X did equal 4. And because that Ranger Captain was cracked, we are still with no further game actions, it looks like. Josh, I think, stands to lose the most of this. When you lose your TNK, you lose any of your commanders, they get CZ'd, you get to recast them. Looks like Francisco went back to the graveyard. I don't see it in the command zone. Highly suspect if I'm noticing that. I don't know if Josh did that as an error. But if I am sitting there playing and I go, Francisco got put into the yard, I am telling my opponents, my alarm bells are ringing. I don't even know what could come of it. I don't even know if it was an accident. I am pointing that out to my opponents at the table and letting them know, hey guys, this is something we need to be aware of. That's not where commanders go, you big silly. Oh yeah, I mean you can still cast creatures after the Ranger Captain activation. Big fan of Lotho. That card seems to overperform every game I have it in. I like that card quite a bit, and it prevents it from getting discarded if you have no other actions. So your opponent's spells are going to generate you treasure and hopefully draw you cards if you're in C1's position. Yeah, you have to wonder if what other counter magic's in hand if Fierce Guardianship is what's getting pitched. So it looks like we're on seat 2's turn here. We're kind of in the rebuild step now. Not sure really how we go from here, but we'll figure it out. I don't know. You can pay 5 mana for a Timna if you really have nothing else, but you do have game actions to take. 2 mana for a Wishclaw Talisman. Definitely could be going for it now. We're just setting up. Lots of cards were drawn. We could just be 1 card away from attempting a win attempt. The board just got cleared. Nothing crazy going on. Could be grabbing. Oh, I suppose you don't have enough colored mana though. That Ancient Tomb might be critical from stopping some sort of Thorkel attempt here. Thassa's Oracle, notably a good card, says win the game on it. Someone just DM'd me. I want to shout out Dishonor. My good friend Shelby. Shelby's reminding me that Battle of Wits that also has text that says win the game on it and wants feedback on if that's a good card. Well, Dishonored RS, RuneScape Grinder, Shelby, cEDH Rogside player. Yes, Battle of Wits is a good card. There's a legacy deck that's played on MTGO called Mississippi River that has like 300 cards in it, and you cascade, and you can win via Battle of Wits. It says win the game, aka good card. Coalition Victory, good card. Nothing but good cards here. Thank you for asking, Shelby. Really appreciate you asking these invigorating questions while we watch a Wishclaw Talisman get cast. Thanks, Shelby. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, I'm curious if that was a dexterity issue. Or just not paying attention. Looks like another Forbidden Orchard as well. We'll be passing around spirits, more than likely. Gonna cast a spell. This will be the first Lotho trigger that we see. Oh, no, maybe not. Paying for the Ristic on the Esper. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, with all the card selection he had, I am curious what the thought process is now.
Yeah, that is Lotho is always good. Now Diabolic Intending the Lotho, he does get the treasure, so that's good play from him because he does get them. So it's essentially going to cost him only 1 mana to play the Diabolic Intent.
Diabolic Intent sacrificing the Lotho. Okay, we are staring down the win attempt now. There's no way.
Onto the stack, evolve in the end.
So something to consider as well, Josh may have interaction in the form of Red Elemental Blast in hand. So if his opponents don't have anything, it's not scot-free if we go for the Thoracle win, which I think is the likely outcome of this right now. But until someone tries to win, nobody's won. Yeah, I think it's safe to let the tutor resolve. You force them to overcommit resources on it. Granted, they could have access to it later in a breach line, but if you're concerned about them tutoring for breach, you just counter the breach. Like, you're not concerned about that, really. You have 1 Diabolic Intent. I'm really not too worried. Granted, I'm probably going to eat my own words. Seat 2 does have a couple cards in hand as well with an active tutor if they can stop whatever's about to happen. But okay, we have a breach.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I don't think this is resolving based on how the table's posturing. I think you let them tutor for it and just counter the breach.
Yeah, it's always that saying, counter what they tutor, don't counter the tutor.
I think it depends. I think if you have a mental misstep and someone worldly tutors for something, you have to be mindful of what your deck can and can't do. If you can stop the worldly tutor, but you can't stop the creature that's coming next, you obviously hit the worldly tutor. I think just having an understanding of what your counter magic or interaction suite looks like, and using that to maximize the value you get out of your cards, that's the key to doing it. With a Forbidden Orchard, giving Josh a Spirit. What is that counterspell?
Yep, Underworld Breaches Exile. Actually, we got a
mental. Oh, that's a. Oh gosh, is that a blue Elemental Blast? Yeah, it's either a blue Elemental Blast or a Hydro Blast. We have a mental misstep countering that. Wait, what? No, that isn't. That is not that. What the hell is that? Because that can't hit the. I don't think that was reprinted. I think the only other art of that's the cat promo.
What card aren't you recognizing? If I may
The
ask.
card that's in the graveyard below the Underworld Breach in Seat 1's graveyard.
It could probably be a Secret Lair version of it. Yeah.
No, the cat one was. Oh no, Mental Misstep maybe.
No, offer you can't refuse for that mystery card. There was a Secret Lair reprint showdown on offer you can't refuse with the cat.
I don't think that's the cat one, unless it's like a NPC card. Oh, I know what it's a swan song. It's the Lord of the Rings swan song.
Oh yes.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's a lie. And I do want to add with with these webcam tournaments, you do need recognizable card art, and if it is not actual printed factual card art, not a good thing. Yeah, it's a fun guessing game with all the secret layer printings of cards to go. Okay, what is this? All right, we are redeploying Timna. Does not. Josh escapes another player going for win attempts. This is the scary part of the game where every deck has kind of hit its velocity. There's an active Wish Claw. There's a Ristic Study. They're all posturing the ability to go for it. End of turn. So the interesting conundrum, or not the interesting conundrum, the window that Josh has chose to deploy this ad nauseum at end step, looks like the opponent's going to be using their Wish Claw, which you can still at end step to counter the ad nause. So he saw the free direction get burned fighting over the Underworld Breach. The frustrating part for Josh right now is that ad nause is at end step for Timna. Timna's activating it. This is the play I don't like, but I understand why his opponents are having to do it. Josh's opponents are using a tutor to not lose rather than to win, and you can see the frustration in Josh's face. Josh is going, okay, this guy's burning a Wish Claw. You just gave a Wish Claw now to another TNK player, who I think those are the worst players to give these to, because they have, you just grab an intuition, you have a 1-card combo, but you're burning your tutor equity to not lose rather than to win or advance your own game state. I understand why it has to happen. I get it, but if I'm Josh, it feels absolutely terrible, and I you can see the frustration in his face, and as much as I love to give Josh a hard time or kick him while he's down, it's a brutal feeling to see. A brutal feeling to have where someone's tutoring to not lose rather than to win.
Yeah, it feels it. So we got with.
And that's an unfortunate reality of webcam tournaments that just doesn't exist. And a swan song on the ad nause.
Oh.
Yep. So Wish Claude for the swan song on the ad nause. Ad nause is getting birded. And notably giving the spirit to TNK and C4.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty much like a gut punch on that ad nause. Because I'm not sure how Josh can get back into this game, because he's going to have to find some. He needs to get a top deck of Reanimate just to get back into this game.
Yeah, if I'm Josh, I'm frustrated. Someone just burnt their tutor, gave it to another player who's pretty well positioned to win now, or in a generally better position than his opponents. This feels so terrible, so terrible. You've seen the interaction get used. Yeah, this feels awful, and you can see the frustration in Josh's face, where someone just tutored for interaction just to stop you. And I think the term kingmate gets thrown around a little loosely, but giving a tutor to somebody who you know how good this deck is, one tutor can just absolutely unlock TNK, and it's just the reality that we're living in. And Josh is just wearing this frustration. I hope any player who's this frustrated is able to shake it off. You're playing for a draw really now at this point. This sucks though. You can see in his body language. You can see it sucks.
I'm not even sure. So Francisco is still in his graveyard. This is the.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. What was the card that Stockwell put on the stack? I don't recognize the art. It looks like a Universes Beyond card. Right, it's a white remand.
Turn target spell to its owner's hand and draw a card.
So many new arts I'm getting. Yeah, I don't recognize that card. It looks like it's in the bottom right. It doesn't look like reprieve. I'm sorry, yeah. In player four's is that a reprieve? Player four's graveyard top of it? Okay, so they have the Wish Claw. I get to learn so many new card arts with the recent inclusions. So we have 1 mana Dark Ritual. Something to be careful of, folks, while you're playing. Stockwell is casting spells and immediately putting them into the graveyard. It's a dangerous assumption to think that your spells are automatically going to resolve. Just be mindful when you're playing. Let them be on the stack for a second. Soak up the good, positive stack vibes, and then move it to the graveyard upon spell resolution. And also, not only for priority being passed, but just maintaining board state of knowing where the card is. So we have 3 black mana floating. The Dark Ritual did resolve. Yeah, I don't know what got Force of Willed. It's there's a full grip in C1's hand, 9 cards. They're going to be playing into Heuristic. I believe that is a Demonic Tutor that we're seeing. This opponent should be able to piece together a win through a Demonic Tutor and a Wish Claw. They might be 1 mana short. Wish Claw. Yeah, unless they're sandbagging a mana of some sort to activate the Wish Claw. I'm not seeing the line, but
Yeah, I don't see the line here. Because, like, only 2 mana, correct? Wait,
they have 3 mana. They have 1 black mana floating. They have a Forbidden Orchard and a Spire of Industry, which is any color, because they're going. Even if they pass the Wish Claw, they have the Esper for the artifact. I imagine we're going to see an attempt on this turn. I am still confused what that Force of Will was hitting, but it doesn't seem like it has really impacted things too heavily here.
They're getting an Underworld Breach.
We have a Breach, 1 mana, Breach back.
Do they have the LED in hand?
You can Wish Claw for it.
That's true.
Yeah, you're in a decent position. There's the LED. And you can tutor up for backup as needed.
Oh yeah, I think our game end might be near-ish. Depends.
Let's see. Mindbreak Trap would be hot right now. We are zooming. They're making the opponent play it out, which I like. I think when you're playing for prizing, having your opponent have to play it out is the smart thing to do. Looks like we are escaping. Oh, they might have messed up their line here. Looks like I can't tell what they cracked, but they.
Yeah, they now
they have
cracked
plenty of
their.
cards in hand now. Yeah, they're totally fine.
Yeah, they cracked their LED now, and there is a Fierce Guardianship in the graveyard. Just to note.
You don't have your commander out, and you also can't cast it for free, even if you did.
Yeah, but with the floating mana, he could, in theory, escape it.
I'm assuming they're cracking for black, and then you tutor for. I don't know. Their mana's tight. There's a margin for error on this. Okay. So now it looks like I don't know if their opponents. There is a Heuristic study to play through. This isn't deterministically over.
Yeah, but he still has a little interaction in his graveyard.
Silence. Okay, that's the card I didn't recognize.
A silence that was discarded?
That was the spell that got Force of Willed.
Oh, okay.
It is the okay. It's the Princess Bride Silence.
Wow, that's.
We got there.
Well, we got Chain of Vapor targeting the Underworld Bridge, I presume.
All right. The damn Princess Bride Silence. I'm thinking Chain is resolving here. And I the other notable thing too is you can sack your land and bounce the Heuristic Study. if you're trying to just go for it again. You also get another card in your graveyard. Josh doing a fantastic job at maintaining game state right now. Wow. Okay, Breach is getting bounced back. Flaming Wedge, to answer your question, what happens if the timer runs out and the game isn't over? Whoever's turn it is, the active player finishes their turn. If they are unable to win while it's their turn, the game results in a draw. So these opponents are seeing another turn, something I didn't think that they would see. Time is a factor now. We do have to be mindful of the Wish Claw. Breach, 2 breaches are gone. If this... this could very well go to a draw. A lot of players have drawn a lot of cards, though. He's trying to reset his the obscurity on his, or the resolution on his camera. Wondering if they're just going to crack for Tim Necron?
I don't think so.
Oh, right. Tutoring for the land. I think they have like 11 cards in hand. A lot of options. Tim Necron, though. No one draws cards. Yeah, Flaming Wedge, it's a point system. Yep. Swiss pairings with a point system. It's not a single elim bracket system. No, it's a gemstone. Theoretically, could also be a displacer kitten line. That is a Universes Beyond Pact of Negation.
Oh, yeah. I think another down to the wire, friends.
Yeah, if he can eat the clock right now, there's 30 seconds left. It's getting close. So playing an Arcane Signet. Wow, we're really cutting it close here. Let me look up the clock. Loading. I'm sweating. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's time in the round. So unless they get a win, this is going to be a draw. And it looks like they're going to try with the Cabal Ritual here. We're getting there. We are getting 5 black mana. Add? Is that 20? Go out like a Giga Chad?
Oh, Phyrexian Morph?
Probably a Wish Claw. And then use the mana floating and try to win the game. Yep, we have a Wish Claw. I mean, this is the difference between 1 point and 0 points for his opponents. And we're going to tap 2 mana and play a Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm so good at this game.
Where's the Demonic Constellation?
Probably going to be a Tainted Pact with 2 mana. You play around a Mental Misstep that way. Oh, no, Demonic Constellation. Probably the one they had in hand. Or that's what they tutor for and have 1 mana for backup.
Yeah.
Oh, Red Elemental Blast? Or some?
Oh,
Dualcaster Mage.
Oh my gosh.
1 colorless floating. Okay.
What is he going to do? Is he going to win over the stack?
No, there's no way he can win over the stack, I don't think. Does he play... What instant would he have? Deadly Relic. Oh, Tybalt's Trickery. No, he doesn't have the red mana. I don't know what he can do without the red mana.
He also has a colorless floating.
Yeah, I'm looking at the instance that he has available to him right now. If he has a Simian Spirit Guide in hand, which I don't think we've seen yet, he could theoretically Tybalt's Trickery.
Yeah.
He needs the red mana. And yeah, we have a Dualcaster.
Yep. Alrighty. That's copying the Demonic Consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, what is he going to name?
He must have the Simian in hand, and I think goes for Tybalt's Trickery. That's the out I think is available to him. I am inclined to think that seat 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he might be going for a Necromancy. All right, now I'm confused.
No, I just wanted to exile his library, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay. He has no way to copy it. Yeah. He was just being silly.
Yeah.
All right, people are packing up. C1 wins it. T and K, Thorkel, after a hard fought going to time.
Yeah. That Toxic Deluge was a backbreaker. Because he was set to win on his next turn with the Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah, it definitely was the play of the game. I'm inclined to agree with you there. Really swung the favor, got rid of the Drannith, opened up all of the players. Was really impressed by that play. I feel that C1 really was able to stay in the driver's seat for that game, having the Rhystic Study and play the Mystic Remora, etc. throughout the game, and being able to win without that breach. They navigated that line well. I feel players were maybe a little flippant passing around that Wishclaw Talisman, but overall, really impressed by the players. I loved seeing Josh's deck. I had me on the seat of my pants with the necromancy. Just kidding, necromancy. Yeah, very impressed. And I again want to shout out Josh here, not even because I'm biased, which I am for Josh, but Francisco Jessica, this is the first ever Command Tower submission with this deck. He is setting the data for this deck for the first time. Awesome to see this deck here at the command step in the flesh for the first time in a tournament that we've tracked before.